Welcome to Season 2 of the SOAR podcast, the place for creative entrepreneurs who want to build healthier, happier, more profitable self-employed businesses. I'm your host, Ray Hyde Cornell, business mentor at Chiron Consulting and CEO and senior copywriter at Cornell Content Marketing. Get ready to soar. Welcome to the SOAR podcast. On today's episode, we have Yigal Adato. Yigal, tell us what it is that you do and what is your business?
Yeah, my business is Leaderato, which means the Office of Leadership. And what we do is we unlock the leader. That's the program. That's what we've been doing for 7 years. And we help small business owners unlock their leadership so they can make more, they can stress less, and they can spend more time with their loved ones.
That stress piece, I think that is probably one of the most important aspects, because we tend to think of the superficial things like, I want to make more money. I want to work fewer hours while earning more. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to travel more. Those are kind of the obvious things. And yet stress, that's the thing that nobody really pays attention to until it is still ruining their ability to enjoy what they're earning, their ability to go on vacation and unplug. And that's the thing. So I'm fascinated that you are tackling that stress problem with leadership development. So tell me about your philosophy on leadership.
So there's two types of leadership development. There's internal leadership development and there's external development. Let me explain those two. External is what many people teach: how to communicate, how to have meetings, feedback, culture creation, those types of things. And then there's internal leadership, which is clarity, your courage, your commitment, the condition of your mind and your body. It's self-leadership before ever touching on anything external in your company as a leader. And so my belief is that if we don't become better leaders for ourselves, we cannot lead others at all in our company, in our communities, in our relationships, if you're a parent. And so when we talk about unlocking the leader, we talk about going through life, things happen to you. And there's traumas from your past. There's a great example is I had a baby during the pandemic. My wife was sick. My mom had a stroke. My father passed away. And so we get locked up.
Yeah.
Right? We get locked up. Things happen.
Yeah.
And so the goal is, how do we pick up the right key, put it into the right lock and unlock it so we can keep moving forward and have momentum. So that's my philosophy. It's not about growing up a great culture and great feedback and foosball tables and kombucha on tap. It's about how do I lead myself so that I can lead others.
Yeah. It's kind of like how you can, for people who have worked in a traditional employment setting, you can see that someone has a particular title: CEO, CMO, CFO, whatever it might be, but they don't quite, when you meet them in a room, they don't quite strike you as a C-suite or a leadership person. They kind of just feel like maybe you could even lead them. It's a difference between the external, I love this, external, internal dichotomy. It's more about the energy that they bring to whatever role they're in, no matter the label.
Yeah. And unfortunately, on the corporate side, you have people who are being promoted because they sell more, because they've been there for 10 years, yet they're not taking any leadership training whatsoever. And on the solopreneur side, which I am, right? I've got a team of 3, small business. We have to understand that there's 3 levels of business ownership. There's the technician, right? You have an agency, you're doing it yourself, social media marketing. I see content marketing right behind you. And so you're running that by yourself. And then you want to grow this business. So you become a business owner. You start hiring 1 person, 2, 3, 4. Rarely will you ever take leadership development. And then you want to become an entrepreneur, which basically means that their business can run without you being there. Again, people don't take leadership development. And they want to skip from technician to entrepreneur without developing their leadership skills. And mostly what they do is, let me learn marketing, let me learn sales. But if you want to grow, you need to lead.
Yeah. People focus on the doing and not the being.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of when you work with your clients, what are some of the problems or the obstacles that you most commonly find people struggling with that are a symptom of not having enough leadership development in that internal sense?
So first and foremost is most of my clients are lying to themselves.
How so?
What I mean by that is they're not telling the truth of what's actually happening in their relationships, in their lives, in their business. When you ask people, right, you say, how you doing? Say, everything's great. But when you sit with them, you're like, my business isn't making enough money. I'm fighting with my spouse, haven't gone to the gym in 6 months. So they're not being honest with themselves. And I'm not calling people liars. We've just been in our society, we've been granted the opportunity to not tell the truth and it be okay.
Yeah.
To ourselves.
And it's actually encouraged because when you are interacting with people on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you are encouraged by the sheer algorithms and way of interacting with people to put out more positive things and put on this facade of my life is perfect and everything's beautiful, when really it's not. And that's okay if it's not.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like fake it till you make it.
Yes.
There's a lot of just sell, just sell, just sell. That's all you got to do is sell, bring in the money. Yeah. My belief is that as you scale your business, if you haven't built the foundation of leadership, your business will break at some point, and so will you. That's the most important part. Yeah. You'll break. My goal in this whole thing, as we unlock the leader in people, yes, their business grows. Yes, teams are built incredibly well. But I want people to not be overwhelmed and stressed out. And the reason why I started this, my father, who I told you, passed away 2 years ago, had 12 stores, 180 employees, a multi-million dollar business. And at the age of 59, got Parkinson's and dementia. And he would always say, I'm going to travel later and I'm going to do things later. And I'm going to play with my grandkids later. Why? Because he didn't set the foundation of his business.
Yeah. And then later never came for him.
And then later never came for him. And so my goal and my hidden agenda is for people to lead, not just so that they grow their business, but so they can spend more time with their families and doing what they love. And you can't do that if you don't lead and only sell.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that stress aspect, because a lot of people, especially people who start out solopreneurs, maybe they are doing a product-based business, a service-based business, but it's just them. They're wearing all of the hats. Then they graduate to maybe bringing on one VA or one assistant or one subcontractor who can do the work for them when they have too much volume. And the idea of leading a team when it's always only been you tends to freak people out. It tends to be super stress inducing. So how can these two things coexist, where someone can be a leader and not succumb to stress on a daily basis in their business?
Listen, you're going to stress, right? That's why I didn't say make more, have no stress. I said make more, stress less.
Yeah.
Because I know that stress is going to happen. I have 3 girls. I didn't sleep last night. I probably had like 4 hours of sleep. Daughter woke up at 4:45 crying. Can you imagine 2 months ago, all of my 3 daughters had COVID. And so we were in sleep. Like it was hectic. It was extremely stressful. And leadership isn't not having stress. Leadership is being able to lead regardless of the stress. And then being able to bring that stress down because you stop micromanaging, you build a team, you're delegating. I built a team of VAs. I have 4 VAs. And they run my business. They really, I've given them the trust. They've earned it. They show the leadership. And they do such an incredible job that I can just do what I do and jump on this podcast with you. And they're doing the work behind the scenes because of leadership. And it's not just about like me leading. It's me instilling leadership in them so they can lead the tasks at hand that they have.
So talk more about that. How do you, because usually, in this traditional model, we think of, there's a leader and then there are all the followers. There's the queen bee and then there's all the bee drones. How do you view team building in the sense of empowering everybody to be a leader in their own right?
So we have something called the Unlock the Leader formula, right? And the methodology. And there's 10 steps. And so I'm going to go over the first 3 with you, and then I'll have people go to unlocktheleader.com if you want to download the rest of them. So the first is to wake up. It's like, okay, I've got to wake up, and I need clarity. And so clarity is key number one. Key number one shows us that we have to have clarity in all aspects of our lives, right? In our connections, in our money, in our business. Where are we going? What is it that we want? So many times business owners walk into their business without them even knowing what they want. And then you've got VAs who jump on and they're like, well, what do you want? I just want to make more money. How? What are we doing? What's the methodology? Where are we going? What do you see yourself doing? Like, there's so much lack of clarity because we're not honest with ourselves, and we're jumping around watching YouTube videos and, doing all this type of stuff that we're confusing ourselves. So step number one is clarity. The precursor to that, I just remember this, is you got to choose to lead. Like, you have to raise your hand and be like, okay, Ray, I want to lead. Like, I get it. Leadership is essential. I want to become a better leader. So you've got to have that choice, because a lot of people just don't care. And if you don't care, then this is not the conversation that's going to benefit you. But
and I think the important distinction there is, this is not, oh, I want to lead a team of 500. This is, I want to be the leader of my own life in whatever form that looks like.
Yes, 100%. And when you lead your own life, then you can lead a team. Right? So we talked about clarity, getting clarity as much as possible. 2 is being courageous. Being courageous is what gives you integrity and stability and respect. And because when you're courageous, you can have courageous conversations. You can take courageous action. You can do things that people say, man, I might not agree with that, but shoot, they took action. Right? They made a decision. They made a choice. Let's go. Yeah. Right? And so a lot of times when I do the work in the courageous, I tell people, you have to have a courageous conversation. Who do you need to forgive? Forgiving yourself. Who do you need to speak with? Let's go. Get that monkey off your back, because leading with baggage is misleading. Right? If I'm walking around with a suitcase full of dirty underwear and I'm taking it everywhere that I go, and I show up with a smile, people can be like, it's in the suitcase. And there's dirty underwear in there. So you're going to see it's going to transfer on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you free yourself from the burdens of whatever's nagging in the back of your mind, that's when you're really set free to actually do what you want to do.
100%. So that's why I talk about self-leadership, internal leadership, right? Going to therapy. I've been going to therapy for 10 years of my life, right? I call it my mental tune-up every single week. Sometimes I'll walk in with my therapist and be like, what do you want to talk about? Like, I'm having a great day. She's great. Tell me about it. Right? Yeah. I just need to be able to hold myself responsible, because a leader, there's so much responsibility in that. People are waking up, even if you have a VA in the Philippines, in Latin America, wherever your VAs are from, they wake up either hating their job or loving their job.
Yeah.
And if they hate their job, they're giving that stress to their spouse and their kids and the rest of their family.
Yeah.
If they love their job, they're waking up happier, so they can now play with their kids as opposed to stress with their kids. Yeah. And that's the responsibility a leader has. Excellent. Third thing is commitment. When you lack commitment, when you lack consistency, it breeds insecurity in your team. Right? Picture this, Ray, you're working for me, and you say, Yigal, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And I say, sure, on Friday, I've got time at 10 a.m. Let's have a conversation. Great. 10 a.m. rolls by and I don't talk to you. And I say, oh, I'm sorry, Ray, next week, Wednesday works for me. Great. What time? 9 a.m. Great. 9 a.m. rolls by next Wednesday, I don't talk to you. What starts happening internally for you?
You start losing trust. You start losing faith in that relationship, which, if you're in a work situation, that expands to the business.
Yeah. So now let's talk about that internally. What happens if I wake up every day and I say, I'm going to go to the gym today, and I don't go? My subconscious tacks it up as a failure. Lack of integrity. So when you're like, oh my God, I'm going to take Cornell Content Marketing, Chiron Consulting, I'm going to grow this team to 50 people, and I'm going to open 8, your mind's going to be like, blah, 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 blah. Hold up a second. Remember all those promises you made me? All those commitments that you didn't keep with myself? why don't we watch Netflix? Let's eat some ice cream. Let's sit on our butt, and let me add some self-doubt in there, right? And let's drive ourselves crazy internally so we don't go there because you haven't done it in the past.
Yeah.
So if you don't show commitment to yourself, you start self-sabotaging. And if you don't show commitment to others, you start sabotaging them.
I love the way that you've broken this down into seemingly simple steps: courage, commitment. Those seem easy enough, but actually there's a lot that has to happen in order for you to actually accomplish leading with courage, deciding with courage, just embodying courage. So I want to get into some more concrete examples. We're going to take a super short commercial break and we'll be right back. Hey, this is Ray. Ready to build a business that supports a life you love, a life you've always dreamed of? It's time to stop passively dealing with what's right in front of you and start deliberately designing your own future. That's exactly what we do in private business mentoring. You and I work together to create a completely custom to you business model that gives you everything you want and need while protecting you from stress and burnout. Ready to get started? Go to chironconsulting.us/mentoring to learn more. There you can also book a free call with me so we can start getting to know each other and see if mentoring is right for you. Plus, I love working with early stage entrepreneurs. That's why my mentoring packages are priced so low. I want you to soar. So don't worry about having to shell out thousands of dollars. Not here. Just go to chironconsulting.us/mentoring to learn more. We are back with Yigal Adato. So Yigal, we are talking about this 10-step process. You've outlined the first 3. And before we go, we're not going to go any further because people can download that on your website. And these 3 are a lot in and of themselves.
Yes.
What is this actually? Can you give me an example? Tell me a story about one of the clients that you've worked with and what it looked like when they first came to you. Like, what were they struggling with? And what were the transformations that happened as they worked through these first, second, and third steps of this process?
I'll give you an example that was told to me this last Wednesday. And one of my clients, we've been working together for 2 years. By the way, leadership is a long game.
Oh, yeah.
You don't take a 2-day course, a 6-week online thing. You don't read a book and magically become a leader. It takes work. And this client's daughter passed away 7 years ago. And obviously I can't even imagine the pain that he was going through. And he brought up a picture of something that his friend painted of him. It's like a man that was sitting in a chair, that's sad, that's crying. And it was a very depressing picture. And he said, Yigal, before I came to work for you, this is who I was. And this is the way my team saw me and my wife saw me, right? And he said, now that I've unlocked my leadership, I'm happy. I'm joyful. I went from $10,000 months to $300,000 in sales. My team, he's got 2 locations. I think it's like 20 employees. He's like, I can now leave to Cancun, Mexico for 2 weeks, and they work better without me here. Like, I bother them, you know? And so that's a success. Another really quick success story is I had somebody come up to me and say, Yigal, you know, I have a partner and I want them to trust me to lead. And so we worked for 6 months together, one-on-one basis. At the 6-month mark, he said, Yigal, I don't know how we did this, but my partner is moving away to a different city. And he said, I don't know what you did, what happened. I trust you so much. Here's a raise. I want you to run the whole company.
Oh my God.
He's like I'm a majority partner. Like, I want you, here's more partnership. Here's more money. Like, I can't even do what you're doing. I'm stepping out. Like, if you need me, let me know. Like, I'm the burden. And I've realized it from your leadership. Right? So those are a couple of things. Is when you unlock that leadership, you walk differently. The confidence is different. Now you market differently. You sell differently. You strategize differently because you've unlocked pieces of you that were inside. My belief isn't that leaders are born or that they're made, right? Yes, you can have more charisma. Like, I know I'm charismatic, but it's not what builds leadership. Leadership is unlocked from within. It's inside. And I can do it to anybody, manager, supervisor, business owner. It doesn't matter as long as you want to lead and you see the importance of it.
And leadership is not what you're doing per se. It's not how are you running your team meetings. It's not how are you delegating. It's not even how are you structuring your emails or how are you deploying your project management tool. It's not even any of that, because that can all stay the same. But if the energy of the person, the attitude of the person, just the demeanor of the person changes, there's a trickle down effect. It doesn't go the other direction. It only goes in that direction.
For those who are listening that like concrete evidence, right? Or want, they don't like this energy woo-woo stuff. They're like, what's going on? There's a study that psychologists did that showed that when you show up somewhere, the way you show up and your energy, you pass it on to others. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, if you show up to work in a bad mood because you're fighting with your spouse all the time, or you're tired because you're not sleeping well, you're not working out, or you're eating unhealthy, then that is given to the other people. And then that's how they treat your customers. And so this is a psychological study. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
It's science, it's proven science. And so the way I show up needs to be with a smile, where my energy is positive. Yes, stress is happening. Things are going on in my life. And I'm not pretending like they're not.
Right. It has to be genuine.
Myself. It has to be genuine, right? Don't fake it. Don't just wear a mask.
Yeah.
But when you can show up positive and still stress, there's magic in that.
Yeah.
So
what does all of this mean for someone who is a company of one? They are still a company of one. Maybe that's what they want to maintain for the entire longevity of their business. Yeah. How can they take these leadership principles? Because everything that you're saying sounds wonderful. More money, less stress, better relationships, sign me up. But leadership tends to be something that we look at in the context of I'm leading a team. Yeah. So how can someone who just wants to stay a solopreneur or isn't ready for team building yet, how can they start deploying some of these things that you've taught us today?
So first and foremost, I want the listener to understand that when you unlock the leader, when you unlock internal leadership, you will sell more. You will attract more. You will market better. You will organize better. You will love better, right? So when you unlock all these things, you're unlocking the internal leader who's going to lead all aspects of their life, whole life leadership, if you want to call it, right? And so even if people are like, oh, I just want to be my solopreneur, just work on myself, doesn't mean you can't unlock the leader within. And so, oh, by the way, I just remembered what it was called. It's called emotional contagion. If you Google emotional contagion, that's what the scientific studies are under. It just came to me. So again, going back to the solopreneur thing, at some point, you need leadership somewhere in your life, in your relationship, with your kids, in your community, in your church, synagogue, whatever it is that you do. If you don't want to lead, hey, okay. But if you know that you have leadership within, you know that it's inside for you to become somebody more epic, do better, grow more, then you've got to unlock it. It's there. It's inside. So solopreneur or a company of 100, it doesn't matter.
Now, what about for the person who, in your first 3 steps, you talk about some pretty big stuff, dealing with the baggage, dealing with the trauma, forgiveness. I mean, these are not small little things that you can do on a Sunday morning.
Correct.
Where would you suggest someone begins if looking at their trauma, looking at the past just seems like not a safe thing to do at this point in where they are?
That's got to be one of the best questions I've been asked, and I've been on many, many podcasts. If I go back 10 years ago and I had the feeling of not going to therapy or not dealing with the baggage, I wouldn't have been able to love my wife. I wouldn't have been able to love myself. I wouldn't have been able to raise 3 incredible daughters. And it's scary as hell, Ray, to be able to deal with that stuff. It really, really is. But when you deal with baggage, it's such a heavy weight that it shows up everywhere in life. So it might not be coaching with me. It might be going to therapy. Like, there have been people who have called me and I'll sit down and one and I'm like, you know what? This is deep stuff I don't deal with. I'm not going to pretend to deal with it. My suggestion, go to therapy.
Yeah.
But you can't pretend like it's not there.
Yeah.
Because it's like a ball and chain, right? That's just going to be like sitting there. And if you want to grow, if you're happy where you are, if you're making 5K a month, 7K a month, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to deal with it. Okay. If you want to grow, make more money, have better relationships, then you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget my mom, when I told her I was going to go to therapy for the first time, she's like, but just come talk to me. And my answer was, Mom, 50% of the therapy is about you.
Well, I bet she loved hearing that.
And I'm like, listen, like, I'm a parent now, and we make mistakes and we do things, and things in our past happened, and some more severe than others. But we can't hide it. We can't just throw it underneath the rug and expect for us to not bring it up in our relationships.
Yeah.
I wish,
okay.
sorry, I wish I went to therapy before I got married. So I came in clear. You know?
And oftentimes we don't realize how heavy those burdens are until they're gone. It's kind of like when you've just been eating crappy for a long time and you're not taking good care of yourself. And then you start actually working out and eating healthier and drinking less alcohol. And you see the contrast of what you've been missing for so long. You don't realize how bad it is when you have built up this endurance of carrying these burdens for so long. And I think it has to come down to a decision of, do you want to keep carrying the weight? Because that's going to be a hard battle for the rest of your life by itself. Or do you want to shorten the duration of the discomfort, rip the Band-Aid off, deal with all of this stuff, and then be free for the rest of your life?
So I'm not asking people to forget.
Yeah.
Right? I'm asking people to work on forgiving themselves and work on forgiving others and moving on. Because if not, you're the one who drags that weight. You're the one who suffers, and then you get, like, there's that famous saying, like, hurt people.
Yeah. Then
you start taking that into your relationships, into your parenthood, into your leadership in a company, whatever that is. And so it's very hard. Like, it's very hard. I get it. But leadership isn't easy. Being a leader isn't easy. Leading a company, leading a family isn't easy. So I'm not asking it to be easy. I'm never going to sugarcoat it and paint it as easy. It's like, I woke up this morning and I had to put like on a song that motivates me, because I was just like, I'm at 4 hours of sleep. I just want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
Forget this leadership stuff. Like, I got to do a podcast today. Oh my God. You know, but then like I carry a sock around, and I'll show you I know that some people will be able to see it and some can't, but this is a reminder. This is a sock that all my daughters have worn. You know, all 3 have worn it at some point. And so I take it with me when I'm speaking, when I'm doing an event, to remind myself of why I need to keep leading. And it's not just about me. There's bigger reasons to lead. It's not just about yourself. And when you put that stuff aside, you get to work. And so in the whole framework that I teach, there's 10 steps, but I broke it into 3 categories. It's wake up, which is like, tell the truth of what's happening, right? Step up, which is like, actually do the work. It's the hardest part, is to step up, to step into the gym, to step out of the refrigerator, stop eating crap, you know, to step into the work. And then the third one is lead up, because when you lead, your responsibility is to help lead others and then teach them to lead.
Yeah. And think about that. When you go through this initial painful process of dealing with all of that baggage and going through all of that processing, and you set yourself free, not only are you then healthier, happier, and able to better create the life that you want, but you're able to affect that in others. And the reverse is true. If you carry your burdens with you, if you stay miserable, if you dwell in stress and conflict, that you pass on to others. So it's really a question of, what do you want your legacy to be, either as an individual, as a leader, as a company owner, as a husband, a wife, a friend? What do you want that impression on the world to be that you leave behind?
Yep, exactly. And it starts with you.
Exactly.
And it starts with doing the hard work.
Yeah. And only you can decide that you're going to make that happen, because nobody can force you. I can't sit someone down in a chair and say, hey, I'm going to shake you by the shoulders until you decide to be a better person and get over your shit.
Money doesn't leave legacy. Time leaves legacy. When you spend more time with people, you leave legacy, not just money. Money goes away. It's spent. And when you lead and you can work and show up for the people in your life, that's leaving legacy. When you add money on top of that, that's an epic legacy.
Yes, that's the cherry on top.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's the way I see it.
So where can people check you out if they want to learn the full 10 steps and get started working with you?
So you can find me on social platforms at Yigal Adato. I'm the only one with that name. But if you want to download the Unlock the Leader, we have like a ebook. Just go to unlocktheleader.com. We have the ebook and we have a free leadership assessment as well to tell you kind of where you are, and reach out. I'm always, send me a message, tell me where you're at. And if we can find a way to help you through the path, either with me or through something else, I'm on a mission to build a legion of leaders so that my daughters grow up in a better world. So if I can help in any way, that's what I'm here for.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Yigal.
My pleasure, honored. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ray here again. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and rate us in your favorite podcasting platform. Want to be a guest on the show or know someone who has an amazing story of entrepreneurship? Apply on our website at chironconsulting.us/podcast.